Hi, Thrivers. Before we begin, take a deep breath with me. This is a very tender conversation, and you deserve to hear it in a way that feels steady and grounding. And if you're watching this, you might be standing in a quiet crossroads, one you didn't really plan for, one you've tried to avoid, or one you've been circling for a long time. And before we go any further, I just want to say if this kind of support feels helpful, go ahead and tap that like button or subscribe. It really helps me to know that I'm creating content that matters to you. And when you comment, I respond to every single one personally because these conversations deserve connection, not just algorithms. So now that if you're thinking about divorce, please hear this. You're not alone. People don't wake up one day and casually decide to end a marriage. Most of the time, it comes from years of trying, adjusting, shrinking, hoping, and slowly realizing something shifted too far to ignore. And it's very common to take time, to stand still for a bit, to gather information before taking action. There's no timer running, there's no rush. You're allowed to move at the pace that feels safe and right for you. So today I want to gently walk you through 7 important steps to take before you ask your spouse for a divorce. My goal isn't to push you towards a decision, it's to give you clarity, protection, and the peace as you figure out what comes next. So let's move slowly, one breath at a time. The first step is turning inward. Before you speak to your spouse, speak honestly with yourself. Ask yourself, what have I been feeling for a long time that I haven't said out loud? Am I exhausted or genuinely done? Is this a moment of overwhelm or the truth that I've been avoiding for years? You don't have to know the answer today. Clarity doesn't always shout, it quietly grows. Give yourself permission to listen. The next step is talking to a therapist or a counselor, not a rush decision, not to choose a path, but to create space where you can untangle all your emotions safely. A therapist can help you separate fear from fact, hurt from truth, and confusion from clarity. And if you have children, these conversations become incredibly helpful later as you work to keep your divorced child focused, respectful, and grounded. Another step is understanding your financial picture, not in a panicked way, just in a slow, steady gathering of information because financial clarity gives you emotional clarity. Look at your savings, your retirement, mortgage statements, debts, household expenses, and your credit. Not to prepare for a fight, but to make sure that you're not blindsided. This step often takes people weeks or even months, and that's okay. Move gently, move at your own pace. This guides us to something most people never think about, speaking with a divorce mortgage specialist. Before you say anything to your spouse, your decisions about the marital home have enormous impact on your financial future. Support income timelines, interest rates, equity buyouts, assumptions, credit impacts. These are not things you want to figure out after decisions are already made. Understanding your options early gives you confidence. It gives you choices, and it really prevents mistakes that can follow you for years. And if this part of your journey is something you're unsure about, I'm here to help you navigate the right questions at the right time. The next step's learning about mediation. Just understanding what's possible can change everything about how this transition unfolds. Mediation is private, peaceful, flexible, and often far more family focused than litigation. It gives you and your spouse space to create solutions that make sense for your family, rather than having the court dictate things that impact your entire future. Simply knowing that there's a calmer option exists can shift the energy of the entire conversation. Next, create a tiny circle of support. Not 5 people, not everyone on your contact list, just 1 or 2 people who can hold space for you without judgment, pressure, or drama. People who can sit with you in silence, who won't amplify your fear, who won't project their own divorce story onto yours. This step makes everything feel less lonely. And finally, plan the conversation with compassion. This might be one of the hardest conversations you're ever going to have. How you show up, your tone, your timing, the space you choose can set the tone for the entire process. Think about what promotes safety, dignity, and calm for everyone involved, especially if you share children. Ask yourself, what tone do I want them to remember? What version of me do I want to show up for in this moment? Before I reflect further, I want to gently speak to anyone watching who may feel unsafe. If you're experiencing emotional, physical, financial, or psychological abuse, and if you're afraid of how your spouse would react if you ask for a divorce, your process needs to look different. Your safety comes first. You may need a safety plan. You may need professional support. And you may need to speak to someone trained in domestic violence before taking any further steps. You're not alone. You deserve safety. You deserve protection. And I've placed the domestic violence hotline in the show notes below. If something doesn't feel right in your spirit, please reach out. Now, let's take a moment for reflection. What would emotional safety look like for you right now? What would financial clarity give you? Relief, direction, confidence? If your kids could choose the tone of this divorce, what would they hope it sounds like? What if one small step you take this week that brings you closer to clarity rather than chaos makes sense for you? Remember, there's no rush. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're simply exploring. You're gathering information. You're taking care of your heart. And if this video is helping you, I'd love for you to subscribe so I know this is the kind of content you want me to make more of. It guides the direction of this channel, and I want to show up every week with support that truly matters. If it feels comfortable, drop a comment. I read and respond to every single one personally because connection matters, especially during seasons like this. And if the house is part of your concern, or if you're unsure what's financially possible after your divorce, I've linked a free resource in the show notes that can give you or bring you some clarity. Wherever you are in this journey, you're not broken, you're not alone. You're stepping into a new beginning slowly, gently, and in your own time. And I'm right here for you. Thank you so much for watching.